I don't know how many of you listening to the story grew up as latchkey kids. And if you don't know what a latchkey kid is, that means you grew up in a single parent household and you had a key to the house at a young age, meaning you would come home and spend hours, I'm talking about hours, alone, all by yourself, until your mother or your father came home. Well, that's how I grew up. I was a latchkey kid. My mother would put me on a bus to school in the morning, and then in the evening time when I came home, I had to go into the house by myself, and she didn't get home until 8:30 at night. And I was getting home from school at 2:30, 2:45. One of the mass effects of being a latchkey kid is you feel abandoned. Quite frankly, as a young kid, I felt abandoned. But also at the same time, it makes you fiercely independent. However, those two things are something that's very hard to balance in life. That independence and that pride of being able to do things all on your own versus that need for attention and love that wasn't there. Then when you combine in the fact that as a latchkey kid, you come home and find your back door kicked in, your house ransacked, and everything spewed around, now you add in fear. And I remember those days, being 11 years old, after someone broke into our house, and having to come home every day wondering if they were coming back. Now, if you take that fear that I'm talking about right now, and you just think about it and focus on it for a second, and then you multiply that same fear by 1,000, that was the fear that I had when I had my Dogman encounter. Understand, I was a latchkey kid all the way through high school. It's my junior year in high school. And when I tell you I was fiercely independent, man, at that point in time, I was super independent. I had my own job. I had my set of friends. I had bought my own little raggedy car. I was riding around doing whatever I needed to do. But I still was coming home to an empty house. And in my mind, I was telling myself, it's okay that you come home to an empty house. You don't need anyone to protect you. You can protect yourself. Well, that all came crashing down one evening when I came home after dark. Tried to put the key in the front door, and my mother had never changed the lock, and it wouldn't unlock. So I had to circle around the back side of the house and go in through the back door. And let me tell you something. I never was afraid of the woods, and our neighborhood wasn't exactly rural. My closest neighbor's house was at a distance where you could see it, but I definitely, absolutely couldn't just scream and they come running and help me. So now, imagine a scene. Circling around the side of the house, when I get to the back door, the back porch light is not on because there was no reason for it to ever be on because nobody ever used the back porch. So I'm standing there in the darkness, putting the key in, unlocking the door when I hear this growl coming from behind the shed. Now, to tell you where the shed is, it's to my right, about 15 feet. I remember it as clear as day. It was one of those white tin sheds. And I hear this growling sound so loud that tin begins to shake and vibrate. However, looking in that direction, it's pitch black, pure darkness. Can't see anything. Then this darkness inside of that darkness emerges, and it's taller than the shed itself, and it's moving around. Now pause right here and let me say this to you. That time, I did not see the Dogman. I saw the silhouette. I hurry into the house, lock the door, click on the back lights, go look out the kitchen window, and there's nothing there. But that time, I became afraid. And there's something about fear. I mean, fear itself, being in fear, that I believe made me to continue to have these encounters. Part of me feels like had I just ignored it, like it never happened, I would have been all right. But I couldn't. Man, I heard that. I heard that tin shaking, and it scared me to my core. A couple of days later, I make a point of changing the front lock myself, giving my mother another key, and me taking another key. Everything is cool. I'm coming and going as usual. No freaking problem. Then it's a Saturday night. And I remember the Saturday night because my mom wanted me to spend it at home with her. But my girlfriend wanted to go out to the movies. And I remember the argument my mother and I had. Her saying, son, I never get a chance to spend time with you. I want us to stay inside and watch a movie tonight. And I remember the disappointment on her face when I told her no, You've had ample opportunity to spend time with me, but you decided that you were going to work. I remember how those words pierced her soul like a knife, the tears in her eyes, walking out of the door, getting into the car, and feeling bad about it, but pushing that feeling down. Have you ever experienced that where you said something that you knew hurt somebody? I mean, really, you should have been sorry, but your pride rose up and you said, nah, I'm not about to feel bad about it. I remember pushing it down in my mind, pushing it down in my soul, like, whatever, I'm going to do what I want to do. Well, I go out with my girlfriend, we go to the movies, things are fine, we make out in the movies, I have a blast. Come home, and all the lights are off outside. No porch lights, no floodlights, no nothing. I pull up in that driveway. To the right by the trees, I see that darkness again that's darker than the darkness. And I hear it growling. And then I hear it coming my way. And in that moment, I froze. I'm not going to lie to you. Imagine a scene. I'm standing outside of the car. You know how you go through the motion of closing your car door as you're walking away? Well, that's the motion. I was pushing that door closed. I hear the growl, and now I'm frozen, and I have to make a decision. Do I go inside of the house, or do I get in the car and leave? And I knew for a fact what that growl was because I heard it before, and it was very, very distinctive, unlike anything you will ever hear when you hear a Dogman growl. In that split second, I make a decision to get back in the car, crank it up, turn the high beams on, and back out of there. And as I'm backing out of the driveway, this thing is illuminated in the lights. Now, I'll say this to you. There have been eyewitnesses who described Dogman as looking like a hyena, and what I saw looked like a freaking gigantic hyena. Neck, shoulders, arms. I mean, it looked like a hyena, even had the same color scheme as a hyena. But this thing looked vicious. Like its job was to get me. Like it was sent to kill and eat me. Now, this might be the fear and adrenaline kicking in, but in that moment, I felt like it was looking through the high beams and into the windshield directly at me. I remember it taking its hand and putting it on the top of his head and swiping down its snout like it was wiping its face, and then dropping down on all fours and coming in my direction. Get this, I end up backing up, going down the street for about 50 yards, full speed, backing up down the road, hitting the brakes, turning the wheels, spinning, shifting in the drive, and taking off, getting out of there. Let me say this. You may be thinking to yourself the same thing that eventually came to my mind as I was driving away. Because after driving up that roadway for about 3 to 4 minutes, it dawned on me, hold on a second, man. My mama is in that house. The lights were all off. Is my mama? And it was right then and there in that moment that I was hit across the head with regret. You know in the cartoons where Wile E. Coyote would get hit by an anvil that fell out of the sky? That's what it felt like. I got hit upside the head with regret. Like you should have never left your mother in that house all alone. So I turned that car around in the middle of the road, accelerating as fast as I can, deciding that I don't give a damn if this thing is out there, I'm gonna roll over it. But I'm getting inside of that house to check on my mother. Now, as I'm coming towards the house, I cut off the road, come across the yard, and slam on my brakes, sliding to a halt right in front of the front porch. Hop out, go in, turn the key, and now I'm screaming, Mama, are you okay? Mama, are you in the house? Mama, are you all right? And the craziest thing is, my mother is standing there in the kitchen eating soup and crackers. Now, let me tell you something. I didn't see this creature again after that. And I know it sounds weird and strange, but I'm telling you, part of me feels like it was that level of disrespect to my mother that made this happen.